90.
Is it number 90?
90.
90.
Wow.
Well, we have like a 10 podcast countdown now.
No. Yeah, we are.
I think so.
Anyhow, I'm going to start over.
Shut up and sit down.
How to break a world record. Think you belong among the best of the best?
You can do it!
Congratulations, Guinness World Records can officially recognise Bertie as the world's fastest tortoise. Well done, Bertie.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. It is said that like dogs, bicycles are a social catalyst that attract a superior category of people. I'm not 100% sure if that applies to these knuckleheads though. Enjoy episode 90.
Today I'll be attempting to get myself in the Guinness Book of World Records by attempting to tackle the world's most elusive world record.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
And after every ride, you're riding around in the bus lot like, hey, I just rode 40 miles.
And you forget you're in your underwear.
Yep. Just standing there around your friends. Man, take it in.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance Romance in studio.
In studio.
Evan Price.
What is everybody drinking today?
Little Kirkland sparkling water.
Some coffee.
As per usual.
Some coffee brought to you by Jake Von During.
Jake made us coffee. That was nice.
Make us coffee.
That was
too.
nice.
I got some weird herbal coffee. I found some, it's coffee in a tea bag.
That's
And
weird.
it's all organic and herbal.
Is it good?
It's actually not too bad. It's like a chocolate flavored.
Are you feeling clear-minded and ready to kill it? Nice.
Yeah, hopefully I won't stumble over my words too much today.
There you go.
I got Monster Energy drink mixed with vodka. Not.
Or is he?
Or is he? We'll never know. We'll never know.
Devin's right. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking pretty good.
Feeling good as hell.
Looking good. Feeling good.
Was that like momentary? Did you just decide to put that in right
Yeah,
there?
I just threw it in.
Me and Lance have been singing that like this entire
Baby, how you
last
doing?
hour.
Feeling good as hell. You are listening to Dial Podcast number 90.
Number 90.
90.
Well,
okay, I do want to talk about what are we going to do for episode 100. I really want to do a live episode. I really want to do it from like Hopworks or someplace like that.
That would be fantastic.
I want a place where we can just get frequently heckled the entire time. Like I just want questions being fired, lots of heckling.
So I think that
It sounds like a recording nightmare, but I think we should do it.
It'll be the audio will be off because you'll have like a loud like audience in the background, and you'll have a more echoey room or whatever. But
That's
people
okay.
can put up with it for one episode.
Yes, you can.
And I think
promise it'll be worth it, guys.
I think that upstairs area would probably fit 30 to 50 people or something like that, and I think we can max it out.
That'd be funny.
Absolutely.
I think we max it out.
We can look there, and we can maybe come up with a couple contingent plans too. But let's talk about that because that would be fun.
10 weeks to go.
Do you think Rebecca would be okay with us fitting 50 people into this room here?
Or there's that.
Sure, why not? All right, let us get started with the good old backpedal. Who would like to go first? Evan.
Lance has the most exciting one, so I'll go first.
Sure.
So Saturday, we did the Ride to Remember Dr. Mike Myers, which was a rainy day, but could not kill the spirit. It was an awesome ride.
It didn't rain until like more than halfway into the ride,
you're right.
though.
You're right. It was chilly in the morning, but honestly didn't rain until we stopped for a minute, right?
Yeah, and the rain was never really that bad. But I did get reports from people that they were just north of here, and they're like, "Oh gosh, it was like monsoonal up there." And people that were in Portland saying, "Oh yeah, it was pouring, and you guys were out doing that ride. Good for you."
Fine for us. Yeah,
it wasn't
just
bad
sprinkle.
for us.
No, it was just sprinkle. But yeah, that was a fun ride. It really was. Now with the state championship and cross the next day, some people were holding back. Lance and
I kind of held back.
I told Lance to hold back. Remember?
I was yelling at you the entire time.
I got reminded like every 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
race tomorrow.
Settle down. Save your bullets, Lance. Yeah. That's what Jake kept saying.
I never said that.
Save your bullets.
I never
Lance.
say that. Nah.
Oh man.
So my ride was highlighted by so Mike always used to make fun of my road bike because Mike always had a clean rig.
True.
Fast bikes. My road bike is the opposite of whatever a clean, fast rig is. So this is an Allay aluminum model, the Specialized Allay. I love the bicycle. Climbs
From like
great.
1984?
Not quite, but it is old. I would need to look back in the archives to see exactly. It is a very old bike.
It's like a 9-speed, right?
Yes,
or
it is.
Speed or 9-speed?
It's a 9-speed.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, it was a single speed for a while.
It,
which
right?
Did you get that bike new? Was it new when you bought it?
Yes. So that bike has really formed how I climb too, because since it's a 9-speed and since I grew up riding Ohio in the Miami River Valley where there's a lot of steep climbs, I've always been a low cadence climber purely because of that bike.
You're a grinder.
And I am not built like that. I'm not a strong guy. For anybody who knows me, I'm more lean. I probably should be a higher cadence rider, but that bike has forced me to be that. So on the last climb of the ride, the shifter cable snapped and it became a single gear, which means.
But it was also in like the hardest gear.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was in the hardest gear.
Evan goes by me on a climb and I look down like, Evan, you're in your hardest gear,
Changed
idiot.
it, buddy.
Shift. And then I see his cable dangling and I'm like, never mind.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I think it is fitting that ride needs to be that bike /
Right.
Mike's memorial ride on that absolute garbage bike now needs to be the last time I ride that bike.
That was his way of telling you get off of that bike.
That's exactly what I was telling Cassie after I was like, Mike for sure broke my cable. That ride there is. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. Absolutely fun weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, would you care to backpedal?
Yes, I would care to backpedal.
Do it.
You're
I'm
so
standing
famous.
here.
Oh man.
I'm standing here with a newspaper.
An
article.
actual newspaper. Huh,
Front page.
Where
I'm on the front page of the sports section.
Do you need to explain to the
Yes, you
kids
are.
listening what a newspaper is real quick first?
Yeah, a newspaper is this old timey like papery thing. Hear that on them. And this isn't just any. I mean, there's like you got New York Times, Washington Post, and you also have the Columbian. I mean, these are like this
Southwest
is
Washington's biggest paper.
It's. I mean, I know that this is like worldwide. You guys, a lot of people in the world have probably already seen this.
Yeah. Everybody listening already knows exactly what you're talking
Right.
about. But yeah.
But yeah. So the team that I coach, we had the state championship this weekend, and the team did really well. So the girls raced first. And they did pretty well. We were kind of hoping that they would like somehow figure out a way to win. Which didn't happen. They ended up getting second place, but they raced well. And then the guys' team, which we knew also, it's like we have a chance to win. We're gonna have to have like a perfect race to win. They got out and they just had another just an amazing race. All the guys came together, ran really well, and then they did end up winning the state championship. So
State champions.
The Camas High School cross-country team, state champions. So for me, that's a big deal because it's one of those things that, the guys' team has never won it. The girls' team has won a whole bunch of times, and so it's not quite as like that kind of like hold up, like what we could do.
Yeah.
But for the guys, it's a really big deal, and they work really hard. So it's good to see them have some success. And so we finish off the season, and now I'm done with cross country and finish off with a big victory. So that was great.
Congrats,
other piece of
man, that's awesome.
It really is. I mean, this is a big running state.
It's big, yeah.
This isn't. I mean, it's not like you guys are just some like ringer that wins it year after year after year.
Right.
Like that's a big, tough competition in the state of Washington.
Yeah, and I think you have these like famous teams. So if anyone is familiar with cross country high school, which I'm not expecting our listeners to be super familiar with, you have these like famous teams in Washington, like Meade High School, that just winning team after winning team, like the best team in the nation, and so it is a super competitive state as far as cross country. And our team holds their own. Like people are starting to know like Camas High School is good cross country. Like they know, like they recognize that particular school, kind of outside of our little area of influence, which is nice. So it's good. I'm super proud of them. On a more personal note, I have been running this week.
Yes.
It has been, I probably ran about 22 miles, which is a big jump, right? This is like my second week back running. Like I did, we were traveling in Pasco. There's this place that I like to run along the rivers. You guys might be familiar with it if you've ever traveled in that area.
I've ridden that
little path, right?
Yeah.
Like you can kind of go through the whole 3 cities,
Yeah.
the Tri-Cities on this one loop. One of my favorite places to run. I always want to be in shape so that I can get there and go for this run. And I'm not fit and ready to do that, but I ended up doing like 10 miles on Saturday, the morning before the race. And then you have to run around and cheer for the teams as they're doing their,
You probably had a
coaching or
half
whatever.
marathon that day, right?
maybe something like that. So
good,
it was a big day for me.
fantastic.
I'm happy.
That's so
I'm
good.
just happy to be able to run. And then the other thing is, Evan and I have started this running group called. We're calling it. We asked you
Lakeside
guys.
Long Runs.
We asked you guys to submit some names, and you guys didn't. You failed us. So
I submitted a name.
yeah, you did. And
Idiots Run on Sunday.
Idiots Run on Sunday.
That did not get picked.
But we went with Lakeside Running, Lakeside Long Runs.
Lakeside Long Runs,
Lakeside
yes.
Long Runs, and Evan and I ran along the lake yesterday together.
Nice.
It was
Been awesome.
beautiful.
We got a lot of people from the Dial Tri team coming out,
Yep.
and even some other people. And now that cross country's over, hopefully we get the Camas Cross community coming out.
We'll see. They need to rest, but then we have some other stuff. But
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
Should
fun.
be fun.
Matt was running smooth
Nice.
too.
And we have
that was the
stickers.
most comfortable I've seen you run. In a while. You
It's
looked
been a long time.
comfortable.
It's
You
been a long
looked
time.
comfortable, which was good.
We'll see. Yeah, and it's just 10 miles the day before.
Yeah.
Definitely feeling a little achy, and so I'm gonna take today off. I think.
Good.
Just real quick, you may or may not know this, Matt. There's got to be something back in the water here in Camas again.
With the girls being, it used to be us talking about how good the girls team is because they're like, "What's going on?
So-
what are you feeding these kids?"
Just a couple follow-up questions to that, though. How far off first place were they?
The girls team,
Yeah.
20 points. So
That's close.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. Yeah, we were.
So then you had the guys. They won it. How far back was second place?
The guys
They
smoked.
smoked.
It was about. I would say 30 or 40 points.
Wow,
something like
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah,
40, I think.
significant. Yeah,
So the high school, though, on the whole, they just won the state championship for girls volleyball.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. And what was the other one? There was another state championship that just came down the pipeline, wasn't it?
Football team's doing well. Soccer team just, I think, lost in not the state tournament, but like kind of the brackets or whatever it is.
Gotcha,
so
yeah,
all
the
the teams are excellent. It's good sports.
Nobody cares about Camas. Nobody cares.
Yeah, they do. Hyper local news.
I swear that there was another team that
this is
just
the
won state
smallest of
championship,
Leadout
but
news.
still,
Swim's coming up.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just awesome to see the community rally behind these kids, and the football team's doing fantastic. They just thumped, who was it, Olympia?
Yep, they beat Olympia.
And they're going off into the quarterfinals or something
Yeah.
like that now, or
Yep.
I don't know. Good stuff. Congratulations,
Some
Matt.
good high
Thank
school
you.
sports coming out of Vancouver. Woo. Right in this area. There you go.
Now back to some cycling. Mr. Lance Hepler, would you care to backpedal?
I will. One of the things I did get to ride outside with Mr. Matt LeGrand.
Oh, yes,
this
sort
week.
of. We rode a little
We
bit.
did ride together outside on bikes.
There's evidence of it.
There's
We videotaped some stuff. It
there
was
was some filming going on for future generations. Yeah, I had a pretty solid week.
Yeah.
So
And we had good weather, right?
We did. The rain never really materialized except for the one Saturday morning where we did the team ride. I'll let Jake talk about the team ride. But the big thing I was gearing up for was I only raced once this week.
One big one.
One
Who
big
are
one.
you? Who are you?
It was the Obra Cyclocross Championships, the 8th race in the Cyclocross Crusade series. And we had a big team out there competing in the races. It was a ton of fun. So we had several teammates win state championships or Obra championships, which was also really cool. My race, I did not win the state championships, but
close.
But you were not that far off.
I wasn't. I did okay. I am in the call-ups now, so I got a decent call-up, but I still didn't get a very good start. There was about, I want to say there was like 65 people in our field. It pulled a few more people out because it was the championships.
Yeah. They have that like record for it's like, I don't know if it's a state championship kind of clout thing, but it's like who finishes with the bloodiest left leg.
Yes.
The most gravel stuck in their skin, I think is how it was phrased. Yeah.
How did you do in that competition?
I did well in that competition.
Top five.
I may not have won it, but I was in the top 5.
You were in the podium at least.
I was
yeah.
on the podium.
Also for freshly minted, what's going on in your face here?
I have this really terrible mustache.
For somebody who never has facial hair,
Fu Manchu?
it could be worse. I mean, it doesn't look that bad.
I don't think it could be much worse. It's like, it looks like a porn star.
Yeah,
style. Yeah,
exactly. That was the idea. I'm trying to take the focus off my terrible hair.
There you go. Yeah.
Is it working? It's working.
Nailed it.
I am focused on the handlebar mustache instead. Yeah,
it's really bad. I'm just trying to see how much I can get my wife to hate me. It's working.
Wait, she's been gone, and don't you pick her up from the
Sorry.
airport
Yeah,
today?
I'll pick her up from the airport.
Has she seen this?
mad.
Are you going to keep this?
She hasn't really seen it, so
I hope she doesn't listen to the podcast.
it should be like, what is on your face? So, I'll just
Is
smile and
that a
laugh.
message from Brandy about his
Yeah,
face
please.
right now already?
What's wrong? Yeah, it's like Movember. It's no shave
Yeah, I keep on forgetting
November,
about
and
that, yeah.
I'm trying to make it as ugly as possible.
Nailed
just,
it.
just for the comedy of it. This is purely for the laughs.
I like it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Matt.
I mean, gorgeous.
So it's been.
I don't
fun.
think that you and me could do a better job than that. Jake here, I think, would suddenly grow the best mustache if he went for it. I think he actually could, but
He could
How
have
about
one
we
of
get
those-
back to this race that Lance was in?
Back to the race. So the 50-plus race, I was able to start on the second row. The race goes off, and there was a front group of about 8 guys that I actually lost. They got away from me. I did not make it in that front group. I just didn't really start that well for whatever reason. And there was one very sharp gravel corner that I was trying to come out of really hot so I could try to catch this group because they were only about 5 seconds ahead of me, and I was trying to cross that bridge to catch this front group. And I overcooked the corner and went down, and yeah, I ripped my leg open a little bit. Not Van Aert style. No,
Yeah.
it really actually wasn't that bad. It's just some lost skin.
Yeah, just put some chewing gum down on there.
Chewing gum. I didn't even realize I was bleeding. I mean, I went down, I jumped back up. Nothing happened to the bike. I didn't realize I was hurt. I jumped back on and went. I actually didn't lose any places. There were guys who were right on my tail, but
Okay. You had enough space that you were able
I
to
had
back
enough
on.
space that I just didn't lose any spots. But yeah, I looked down later, and if you see the race photos that Jake had taken, you can see that my leg was just bleeding all the way down to my socks.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of funny. But yeah, I lost that lead group, and then they gapped me even more after I crashed. But my power numbers have been good lately. My fitness has been pretty good lately, and it was a 48-minute race. The crash happened in minute 10,
Okay.
or minute 8 or something like that. And I just kind of slowly reeled guys back and started catching people that I hadn't been catching in the past, and I ended up 6th.
Wow.
So
crazy.
which was that was a great result for me. I was really pleased to make it to 6th. So
That was awesome.
yeah.
along with losing a significant amount of blood the entire
I did.
time.
I
so-
lost a little bit of blood, but it wasn't.
That helped your watts per kilo, though, right?
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Dropped
thin up.
a little bit of weight during the race.
I think there was about 8 to 10 people that were like, I'm not going to pass him back.
That's
I don't
right.
wanna- I don't
He's
want to get
bleeding
blood.
all over
He
I don't wanna get
splattered
on it.
blood everywhere. I don't
He already
want to be
got
anywhere.
blood all over my
Yeah.
bike and all this. I'm
I
not
don't
passing him
trust this
back.
guy. Yeah.
Yep.
The encouraging thing was I caught a couple guys that I've not been able to catch earlier in the season that usually went around me, and I could never reel them back in. And this time I reeled them back in.
Wow.
So that was good. I just need to have a little bit better start. I just need to stay in that front group.
Do you only have one more race?
One more race.
Okay.
Last race is next weekend out on Sabi's Island, and so I'm gonna go for it there.
Yeah.
In the overall, I have moved from 8th place all the way up to 7th place.
Woo!
Wow.
One wrong at
Crawling
a
up to
time.
that top 5.
That's crazy.
There's a possibility I could make one
more.
more spot, but I could also lose a couple spots. But I might have top 10 kind of.
Are you going to rest up this week at all? Kind of go into it a bit of more?
should.
Yeah,
recovered?
I didn't rest a whole lot this week. My legs still felt really good race morning. I mean, even though I rode like 250 miles this week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which was still a lot.
I wouldn't
but
change too much, but at the same time.
I would like to go in a little bit more rested.
fresh, yeah.
So, plus the team competition, our team competition, we're
close.
We're close. We're on the verge. We did make up some more ground and increased our lead.
Yeah, but
this
I heard
week.
it's like 10 or 20 points or something.
We have a 22-point lead, and so it's tight. But we just have to show up again.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to race well next week. So we got a chance at winning that.
Let's
team
go,
competition.
Dialed.
Yeah.
And our team has never done that before, right?
No.
That's exciting.
So it is exciting. So and in the last the last several years, there's been one team that has just dominated won by hundreds of points.
Right. Wow.
And yeah. And this year, there's 3 teams that are close. So it's a whole lot tighter this year. So it should be fun.
Nice.
That's enough for me.
I like it.
How was my helping of you out there? Yelling at you how much time back you were. Did that help you a little bit?
It does help. It definitely does help because and I try to do that for other people too when I'm racing. But knowing, because if people are around a corner and you can't see how far they are, I'd like to know, are they 2 minutes up the road and I'm just hold your place, or are they 15 seconds and maybe you can catch them guys? And with Jake telling me they're only 15 seconds up.
Right. Or even if they weren't, he would lie to you and be like, they're only 15
they're
seconds.
only 15 seconds up. Keep going.
Go your hardest. With,
I think I barked at you a good 3 or 4 times with the time gaps were. So, and you were doing a good job. I think the first 2 laps, sorry to keep harping on this race. It was just such a fun race to watch. Like the first 2 laps, like you were 15 seconds down after the first lap. You were 30 seconds down after the second lap. But then after that, you started closing in on them. And you started getting closer to those guys, and you started picking people off. So it was nice to see you, like as the race went on, get stronger. And the other guys that came out hot, you were picking them off because they were petered out.
It hurts so much. It hurts so much.
That's such a fun course. That it's got a little bit of everything.
There was a lot of long straightaways. Not as many as in years past, but there was a lot of long straightaways, which actually I've found out is not my thing in cyclocross. The more turns, the more technical a course is, I tend to do a bit better. Yeah. But I don't know. Yesterday it just kind of worked out for me. My power numbers for the race, I don't know if people who know what average power is and normalized power is, my average power was like 291 for the 48-minute race. So my normalized power was 313. So there really wasn't that big of a gap between my average power and my normalized power, which means I was not coasting that much.
No, yeah.
And
the normalized power is your average power just minus all the zeros.
Minus all the zeros.
So here's why I think that was. You were in 9th place for a large part of the race, right? So you had gap, you had space in between your spot and the people that you were catching.
Yes.
And so had you been, 3 spots back and you were kind of sitting on wheels and stuff like that, coasting into turns, I think your numbers would have been different. But you were in a good spot for you to kind of produce power throughout the race, which I think results in a good race for you.
Well, I was trying to keep steady pressure on the pedals, not rest at all. I was trying to keep and sometimes in tight corners you just rest, but I was trying to carry more speed through the corners and just and a lot of that has to do with tire selection and tire pressure, but all that kind of stuff just makes your whole overall average just faster. I'm just still trying to figure out this cross thing and how it's supposed to work. So
you're getting there.
I think you're doing a pretty good job of
figuring it
out.
out.
It hurt a lot.
Jake, how was your week?
My week wasn't too bad. I got to do a couple team Zwift rides, and I think it's the first time I've ever got to say a couple. We started out with the cycling team's Zwift ride on Tuesday night, which was a good, fun, fast, long ride. About an hour and 45 minutes, I think. And we thought we had the quote-unquote rubber band turned on. It's their keep everybody together function. And it turns out we didn't. I think that was a user error by yours truly here. Screwed that up. So we were kind of trying to figure that out, but it still ended up being a fun time, and we all got a good workout. We'll turn that back on next week for a certain period of time, so some of the younger riders or people that don't have the really high watts per kilogram that some of the people on our team have can come out and ride with us. But still, nevertheless, fun time. Thursday, Cassie put together the triathlon teams for Zwift ride, which was pretty cool. I had a couple people, ask me for information and details on it, and I'd almost forgotten completely about the fact that there was a ride, and I was going to ride on Zwift that night. Yeah. So I was quickly getting back to them. Oh, you need to get in touch with Cassie. She's setting it up. She's got all the details. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go jump on this thing. So ran up and got changed real quick, and then came back and sat on the trainer and jumped right in and did a little ride with my friend thing and jumped in there with Cassie and rode with those guys for a while. The they were kind of holding steady state. They were actually a few times moving along pretty well. And Cassie, like every time I turned around, she had another jersey, because you can get like the KOM jersey, you can get a sprint jersey, you can get the overall course jersey. And she was collecting those things like they were going out of style. Yeah. So it was kind of fun.
She's enjoying Zwift. It's going to be a great training tool for her this year. She's going into our Ironman season. Yeah.
But they were doing mostly steady stuff. And for me, it was like I had a mix of short, medium, and long intervals. So I rode with them in the beginning and in the middle, and then I had to go do like a full lap. It was about a 8 or 10 minute effort, something like that. And that was kind of like the last time I rode with him, but it was still fun nevertheless to see more people on there. So if anybody's interested in jumping on another Zwift ride, more details to come on that. Fun.
Awesome.
We did a Friday night ride. I haven't done a night ride in forever.
We did.
This was to basically just on Michael Myers, the day that he had passed away last year, which was November 8th. So just kind of wanted to bounce around Camas a little bit. I personally wanted to go out and ride, and I couldn't get out until the evening. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put this out there, and hopefully some other people will come with me, because, you know what, safety in numbers, right?
Yeah.
So I figured more people with bike lights and bike flashing and stuff like that, the better, and I wouldn't get hit by a car, and that's always a good thing. So we went out, we did a little ride at 5:30 at night, and it was dark, and there was about 6 of us.
I think there was six of us that came. Yeah.
And that was just really nice. We just kind of went through a couple spots, and we were talking about Michael and just kind of like, reminiscing, and that was nice. And that led us into the Saturday morning ride that we did that Lance already talked about. We met at a donut shop that Michael was notorious for going to and getting people this big, giant, massive, what they call a Texas donut. Like if you hold it up, it like will basically block your entire face. If you hold it up in front of your face, it's that stinking big. So we got a bunch of those, and we got some other stuff, and we got a pot of coffee, and we went out to this beautiful spot in Washougal, and you have a little peekaboo view of Multnomah Falls and the Columbia River Gorge. And we went out there and spread some ashes, and we had coffee and donuts, and we talked about Michael for a little bit. So it was very therapeutic for a lot of us, because a year later, you could just tell how much the man was loved because of how many people actually showed up. And there were a lot of people who wanted to be there and just couldn't be there. But I think we still had 35 or 36 people.
We had 35 people who showed up.
Yeah. So a big group.
Yeah, it was fun to go out there and do that. And, I set up the route, and the route was like 47 miles if you were to start at the donut place and do the route and head back there. I ended up riding to the place from my house, and then I did the ride, and then I rode with the guys a little bit longer. I'm looking down. I'm like, I'm getting awfully close to 54 miles. I'm like, I'm just going to ride with the guys a little bit longer. And then, my goal was land
54.2
2 miles, because Mike's race number was 5:42.
Yeah.
And, Lance, you saw where I turned off. I figured that I was going to get back to my house, and I was going to have to go ride around all over the place just to get the mileage. No joke, into my driveway, 54.2.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah, I didn't have to go look at the thing. It's like, well,
that's pretty weird.
There were too many coincidences on that ride.
And I actually wrote a little bit extra, because how Strava always does that.
Yeah.
You finish with your ride, and it's like right on a certain number, and you go and you upload it, and it's missing like 1/10 or 2/10 of a mile, and I didn't want to do that, so it actually ended up giving me an extra 1/10 of a mile, because I finished it. It was on my Garmin when I finished. It said it was 54.22 or 23 or something like that. So anyway, nevertheless, I ended at 54.2 miles. I'm not going to go with that 100th of a mile. So it was a good ride. It was a good day, and it was fun to hang out with all of you guys and see everybody. Went out to watch you guys at the cyclocross race. That pretty much was the end of my weekend. And I didn't get to race because my shoulder still sucks. I'll refrain from using all the explicatives here. But I did go out there and take some pictures, and it was fun watching everybody race and seeing people win state championships and watching you guys just kill it in that team competition. It's awesome. I still jokingly say that you guys are doing this for me because I'm going to make my triumphant return next year, and I'll get a call up.
It is there. It is so much fun. The atmosphere at cyclocross races are just amazing. Just chill, fun, party atmosphere. It's unlike what I've seen in other bike racing. So it's cool.
Yeah. So that is a wrap on my Backpedal. How about right now we do a little listener hot lap? You guys sound good?
Yeah.
I like it.
Let's give Shane Page a call. He is a listener, and I think he knows one of us a little bit better. So
he knows me pretty well.
Let's do that right now.
Hello.
Shane, it's Jake from the Dow Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jake. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just sitting here with the guys.
What's up, Shane?
And
What's going on?
We really appreciate you coming on for a listener hot lap today. Per protocol, we're going to run around the table. The guys all ask you some questions and then let you hit us back last. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Let's start with Lance.
Shane, why don't you tell us about your cycling history?
Mm-hmm.
My cycling history is short to date. You know, I grew up not really doing a ton of it. Then when I got into physical therapy school, I was a collegiate soccer player, so I wanted to keep my fitness up. And my roommate and I would ride back and forth to campus at UD, and that's what kind of sparked my cycling history, and as well as the idea for the product. But you know, it's not a long history. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm taking Evan's advice on a lot of stuff.
That's scary.
Well, Shane's actually the one who little known fact here. Shane was actually the one who basically taught me everything I know about physical therapy. So I had to return the favor somehow. So
exactly. I always told him I'll teach him everything he knows, just not everything I know.
Yes, exactly.
So I recently undertook my first century. I was down in Florida. I did a JDRF ride to cure for diabetes. And unfortunately, the heat got the best of me. I ended up bowing out at 62 miles. I think I also ingested I ingested a little bit too much Infinite during that ride as well. My stomach was all in shambles. But I'm going to try to get one done in the early spring. So I want to join that Century Club as soon as possible.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Shane, go ahead and tell the kind of origin story of the company and how, you know, really it was when I was a student of Shane's is when this starts.
Yeah, so I had this squirrely young student who was gung ho on a lot of different levels, and it just so happened that I had a longtime patient that was coming back in for a cycling related injury. And Evan came up to me and was like, you know, John just got a new bike, and he wanted to know if it would be okay if he brought it in. And we looked at him on it, which is well within our bounds, our boundaries as PTs. And John brought it in, set it up on a trainer, and Evan fixed him up a little bit, just tweaked a couple things. And, you know, that on top of all the exercising that Evan was prescribing kind of fixed John's knee pain. And I still remember it to this day. I'm not sure if Evan can, but John hopped off the bike and was like, man, I just wish someone could do something about these seats. And it was at that point in a tiny clinic in Dayton, Ohio, that I shared my idea with them. And I think we were in my basement, Evan, 2 weeks later?
Oh, yeah.
I was carving a mold out of a piece of foam and pouring Bondo into it.
Which is way harder than it sounds, too. That was like Shane was going all out on that foam, and it is not easy to work with. So.
It was a pain in the butt, that's for sure.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have any questions for Shane?
I got some serious questions, Shane. Now, you've got Evan working with you guys with Edge Cycling, and it's he's doing marketing things for you guys. Have you considered him for like a kind of a chief technical officer, like maybe some sort of IT position?
Oh God, shut up.
we all just laugh on that.
On this podcast, we always joke about Evan not being able to figure out technical stuff. And stuff.
I've just now joined that, as it took me 20 minutes to figure out how to Skype into your show.
But this is why this is why Shane's idea was so brilliant, is because I was able to see it purely physically, because Shane's mind works on a physical basis, not on an IT basis.
Right. It's not digital enough. No, serious question for you. You guys have had some really cool initial success with the product. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the athletes that are using the cycle, the seat itself. You've had a cyclist in India recently, is that correct? That biked across India?
Yeah, he did a tip to tip, so from the top of India to the bottom of India. The previous Guinness World Record was just over 10 and a half days, and Mr. Panu did it in just over 8 days. So he smashed the Guinness World Record and was on our saddle for 98% of that. He said he switched off on a little bit of a bumpier road just to get it was on a different rig, and he ended up lasting for about 20 minutes on it before he switched back to ours, because he just couldn't find the comfort that he had on ours.
And that's Shane. So I know Shane knows I was in Bengaluru for a short period of time when I was out of PT school, and as I'm sure Bharat has told you, Shane, the roads in India are terrible.
Yeah. He said the infrastructure is just awful.
I am sure that had to be an incredibly bumpy, brutal ride. That's probably the equivalent of like riding across Belgium 30 times, I would imagine. It's just nothing but dirt, bumpy roads. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great that he shared that with us, and he actually found us through the year that Joe Lawhorn rode our saddle in the race across America. He was actually on a crew for another team from India, and he had seen Joe at one of the rest stops, and Joe gave him my contact information. I don't know how he managed to do that while he was doing Race Across America, but it's in the middle of the night, and I get a call from an Indian gentleman who wants our saddle. So it was just kind of cool how they connected, and now Barant's one of our biggest ambassadors, one of our sponsored athletes, which is awesome for us.
Yeah, and Shane, why don't you talk about Joe real quick too? Because I think that obviously Joe being really our first person to really trust in the saddle and kind of our initial flagship rider.
Yeah, so I was. This has been probably a little over 2 years now, but right when we were getting ready, we were preparing for the business plan competition that we were in for the University of Dayton, and we had gotten some pretty good press. And that morning that I ended up meeting Joe, I had done a news interview that aired that evening, and I then went and I filled in for my boss, who also runs the physical therapy program. I lectured for about 5 hours. And then I was sick on top of that. So this cycling club here, Team Dayton Cycling, wanted me to come give a presentation. So I was like, absolutely. But I didn't really, I was kind of, all I wanted to do was go home, but I did it. And I was at the Panera down by the Dayton Mall, and there's this gentleman laying on the ground wearing American flag cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And, everyone was kind of, paying attention. Some really weren't, but he had his eyes on me the whole time. And I remember just looking at his eyes, and he was just engaged. And it came time that I kind of passed it around, and I said, you can sit on this, it's not going to be attached to a bike. And this was our very first, raw prototype. And, I mean, I thought it had a little bit of comfort to it, but it wasn't great. And he went out and took it and sat by this cement fireplace, and I could see him out there wiggling and sitting on it and moving. And you see him get down in the arrow position, and he comes back in, hands it to me, and just nods. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I get a call, probably Evan, 20 minutes after the meeting.
Yeah.
And Evan's like, do you know who was at that meeting? And I'm like, no, not really. And he explained to me who Joe Lawhorn was, and he said, Joe wants to ride this in the Race Across America. And I was floored. This is after an extremely long day. I'm pretty sure I had no voice left. I didn't want to be there, but I was there, and we got probably one of our biggest ambassadors to date. And, Joe has been fantastic for our company. He raves about our saddle. He rides it all over the place. So it was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, he was that year he did Race Across America, which is absolutely incredible. He made it through the whole race, which, Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you got to average 240 miles a day to make it across that race and finish it.
Yes.
And he did it. So yeah,
absolutely
incredible.
He struggled getting through the mountains. Our first prototype, admittedly so, was super heavy, and he kept on the. I can't remember what he was riding, but the saddle he was on, he stayed on it till he got to Kansas, and when it kind of leveled out, he put our saddle on. And he didn't take it off, and he credits it to the only reason he was able to finish, because the pressure points were just alleviated.
And he's another reason we actually made a very, very light model of the saddle too, which is the one that we sell now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
I've got a couple questions for you. First and foremost, are you looking for more ambassadors? And if so, if an ambassador wasn't wearing pants, how would your saddle work for them?
What are you talking about?
There's a gentleman sitting at our table that is interested looking at your saddles, and he doesn't wear pants.
Yeah, Lance has notoriously torn his shorts during cross races, Shane, and probably could use a saddle that does not do that to his shorts.
Well, I don't know though, because he's taken to his little moniker of Lance No Pants. So
this is true.
Get a whole nother test subject
too.
here.
Yeah, we're always looking for more athletes. The more butts we get on this saddle, the more word it spreads.
There you go. That's great. I do have another question though. Tell us something about Evan that we might not know.
Yeah.
Dish some dirt even if you want, but tell us something about Evan that we don't know.
One thing that you already know that I still find hilarious is how much he loves the details, like how much he will finish a run out by running around in place in the parking lot to get that full amount of distance. I'd let him go a few minutes early, and probably an hour or so.
You were
early.
by far my favorite CI, Shane. By far. It wasn't even close. You were.
He said, I'm going to go get a quick run in, and I'd finish some documentation, and I'd be walking out into the parking lot. He's coming back from his run, and he's just jogging around like 2 or 3 cars in parking spots. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, I still got about 0.3 miles left to go here, so I'm just going to do it in the parking lot. But Evan, is hardworking, man. I've had a lot of students, and Evan was one that, he always wanted more. Like, he always wanted more information. And he's still texting me to this day. He's wanting, he wants different protocols. He wants different ways that he can help influence his patients, which I think is just awesome.
Yeah. And just to speak to that, Shane, I still reference things that I was lucky enough to be in a clinic with Shane where we got to work with so many athletes, because that being really the population that I'm focused on and working with now, I still reference things Shane and me talked about over lunches 3 years ago now.
That's
so
great. Yeah.
Still reference it to this day.
Well, there's still a spot for you here, buddy.
I'll tell you what, if I ever come back to Ohio, you would be the first one I'd work for. That'd be sure. But I think I'm out here for a while. So
yeah, you keep doing big things out there. I'll be proud of you from across the country.
There you go.
Yep.
Shane, do you have some questions for us?
I do. How many of you have actually ridden the saddle?
Well, I have, obviously. Yes.
Yeah, we know that.
So I'm going to review this. So I have a YouTube channel, and I have the saddle ready to be reviewed, but I haven't done it yet. So
Shane, he has a world famous YouTube channel. He just crested 1,000 subscribers. So
get out of here.
So I'll be reviewing the saddle for the channel.
Looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are.
I'll send you what I got.
Yeah, and we know, one of our biggest things that we want to move forward with is we know it's not right for the tri position. We know there's a lot of modifications that we can do, and we knew that when we built this first model. Evan, John, and Nico and I had many conversations. How do we get the most out of this product? Being our first mold, that mold was $48,000. So we know there's a lot of modifications that we can make. We know it's not perfect, but man, I love the way it feels, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that feel the same way. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think I mostly do triathlon type stuff, and I can tell, but like I have a road bike too. So I think a lot of cyclists, when you first initially start up, you did the right thing. You targeted kind of, road cycling position, and then, always follow up on something like, adjusting the nose of the saddle or whatever for triathletes. I think you'll be fine. I think you made the right decision as far as the avenue that you took with the product. So
awesome. I appreciate that. So, and my other question was, what's the longest distance that you guys have ridden?
Ooh, I can answer for me and for Jake.
Yep.
Yeah.
206 or something.
206 miles.
Yeah.
Awesome.
6.
Lance?
Same. I've done the Seattle to Portland.
STP, yeah.
But we took a wrong turn, so we got a little bit extra.
So I think I was 201 or
201. So we're a little bit better than Lance, basically.
I'm not even I'm like 120, I think, is my long. I'm not even close to that, but I need to do ST. Seattle to Portland chain is a ride that's literally from Seattle to Portland, but it's a huge one out here. How many people do that each year?
It's 10,000.
10,000 people do that ride.
Crazy,
yeah.
huge.
But there's
holy cow.
Yeah, only 30% of that 10,000 do it in one day.
Actually finish
and
in
of
one
that,
day.
that 3,000-ish people that will do it one day, about another 10 or 12% of those people will actually time trial it, and they give you a chip where you're out there racing basically to be the first one to finish.
Yeah.
Man,
it's a long
that's
race.
crazy.
It's a very long race.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, my goal in the next my next year or so is here in Ohio. We got great trail systems, and there's the Erie to Cincinnati Trail.
Yeah.
It's a little over 400. Like I think 438. My goal would be to do it in three days.
You need to grab my dad and do that with you, Shane. That would be very cool. You need to grab my dad to do that with you. He's mentioned that before. Yeah.
If Mark's up for it, man, Mark and I have a great time on that.
Absolutely. That would be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, Shane,
So-
if people wanted to know more about your saddle, why don't you go ahead and plug that real quick? Why don't you tell us
Yeah.
where they can go find out more information?
So you can find us at www.edge-cycling.com. And we're on all three of the major social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And on the website, if you have any questions, please fill out the contact form. It'll go directly to myself or John, and we will get back to you as quickly as we can.
Perfect. I'm
Yeah,
sure
so-
there are going to be some inquiring folks because there's a lot of great cyclists out there that are always looking for something better. And if your saddle can help in that direction, man.
Talk about
Awesome.
a homegrown company too, folks. We
we were born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. It's
Yeah.
manufactured 2 miles from my house, so we're going to keep it that way.
cool.
We love America.
Yeah,
and let's
sweet.
keep this rolling.
Great.
Absolutely.
Hey, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of praise on how well you did on the transgender podcast. I thought that was beautifully done, good points, and I thought for a difficult conversation, I think you guys did awesome.
Thank you.
We appreciate that, Shane. Thank you.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming on today, Shane, and wish you all the best with Edge Technologies and all your future ambassadors that are going to be out there riding, hopefully with pants on.
May require that from Lance. We may require
Not
that.
required.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thanks, Shane.
Talk to you later. Bye. Again, another fun listener hot lap. That's a pretty cool guy that you got to, I guess,
Oh yeah,
kind of learn the ropes from a
study
little
with.
bit, right?
Me and Shane go way back now. I mean, that was, I really met Shane in my first year at PT school and got to know him very well. And then I got so lucky that in my last year he was my clinical instructor.
Yeah.
At my last clinical, which really guided the direction that my PT career's gone, which is sports focused, endurance sports focused. He let me kind of mold that in my final clinical, which is not the case in most clinicals. So I was a very lucky student.
Yeah, and usually for a person in his position that's been, teaching, instructing, and practicing and doing all that stuff, I mean, you'll have a lot of people come and go. It sounds like you kind of made an impression on him, and he saw some value in you and saw some drive in you that was
I mean,
a great relationship there.
He was not joking. Where literally that saddle and everything was started from a lunch conversation where he was like, I got this idea I've been thinking of for a while. And he laid it to me, and I was like, hey, this weekend, why don't we just go try and mold it out of some foam? And he literally went and bought foam, and we sat in his basement with John, and the three of us sat there and tried to carve this thing out of foam, basically. But, yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's jump into our topic for the day. What do you guys know about cycling world records?
Do we want to cover news topics before we do that?
Do we have to?
Yeah.
Was there news?
There is some errors and omissions.
I got one quick bit of international news. Super
Okay,
quick.
well, time out then. Jake can't keep his
Jake,
his timeline
do you need
in
more
check.
coffee? Jake?
I think I do. Yeah, so let's do a little lead out news.
Okay,
let's do
that's
that
a
right
good
now.
plan.
I put together the show. Don't you think I would know this?
Yeah.
But
Come on. Lance is trying to commandeer this show now.
I'm trying to take over.
We need to
I
take
do
this guy
not
off.
want to take over.
I think, Barry, have I hit my head recently? No. Got caffeine in me. I had a little bit of food today. I don't know. I guess I freaking spaced it, man. Lead out news. Lance, go.
Okay, so first thing, errors and omissions. Last week, we talked about Clara Hunsinger, how she came out and did the Rainier Cross race, and we were talking about lap times, and I was thinking I was really cool because my lap times are pretty close to hers, and I forgot that the pros did a little extra loop.
Yes, you're right there, Lance.
I thought I'm like,
you're right there.
remember we talked about could she have won the 50 plus? Yeah, she would have won the 50 plus.
Yeah,
there was
that's awesome.
There was one little section where they added like there was an A line and a B line, and they made all the 1-2s do the A line that included another run up and a couple difficult features.
Wow.
So I forgot about that.
So if you just did less distance than her,
that's right. I would have won.
Then you would have beat her. Yeah. Okay.
Is that pretty typical though of most of those races? I know that they had that yesterday as well.
They've only been the Cross Crusade has been doing it at every race.
Okay.
Where they add an A line for the 1-2s and the single speeds. They make it a little bit harder. So like, even looking at our results, and I'm trying to compare my lap times with the fast guys, and I think, I really wasn't that far off. No, they did an extra 20-second loop that you didn't do.
Yeah.
So
like 10 times.
Yeah, right. 20 seconds every lap.
But outside of that,
but
you're right there. You're right there.
Right there. So in our the Obra Cross Championships, our team actually had 5 champions.
5?
We had 5 champions. So Sonia Ebert won the Athena division.
Yep.
And Chris Surratt won the Clydesdale division. And Brian Wise won the Cat 3 Masters, the first time he has won this year, which was fantastic. He just raced out of his mind. And then Hayden Weirman actually won the Cat 123 Junior
Elites, yep.
And then 25 minutes later, he turned around and won the Junior 17 and 18 category. Okay. So he won both of those.
So I think we just safely say that he won juniors. Just he's
well,
the
there's
best
another junior that actually is faster, but he only raced one of those races.
Yeah, he was in the 15, 16-year-old bracket, but they raced together. That was Ian Brown, right?
Yeah, Ian Brown. Yeah, right. So we actually beat him, but he's younger, so he's in a different age bracket.
I think that would have been closer because Ian did get him by a fair amount of time, but Hayden started at the back of that heat, and he I think they said that he was like dead at the back of that heat because he hasn't been racing there. So he had no call up, and Ian was up front. So when they blew whistle and everybody went, Ian got a good whole shot start, whatever, and kind of like laid it down. But Hayden did not give up for anything, and he was just pecking people off left and right.
Yeah,
so
it's just fun to watch him race. So pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
The men's 1-2 race was won by Christopher Jones from Bend. And Carl Decker was second.
Wow.
And Andrew Coe was third. So our own Robert Cummings was out and raced. He took 7th. So that was also cool to see.
Good job, Robert.
Yeah, they were wearing dialed. It was funny where they were wearing dialed bibs and a Team S&M jersey.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, I like that. That's awesome.
We appreciate that, Robert. Yeah.
For those that don't know, they race on our mountain bike team.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then for road and for cross, they race for Team S&M. So,
yeah.
And that's the same team as Claire Hunsinger.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're on the same
Fast
team.
Fast
team.
Fast
team. The 1-2 women was won by Allison Halpin, who won by a long margin. She was way out in front. And then Anna Davis Usher was second, and Janelle Bickford was third. Internationally, the Pan American Cyclocross Championships happened, which is basically Canada and America. Right. They had the Cyclocross Championships, and Clara Hunsinger was there and took second.
Wow.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So she is just continue to have
So who won that? Is it one of her teammates on the national team?
It was not. It was a
Canadian?
Canadian, Rochette, Maglia Rochette. I screwing up. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Magali Rochette. I'm butchering her name. Yeah,
nailed it.
Thanks.
You're getting hate mail for sure.
She won. Clara Hunsinger took second, and Rebecca Faringer took third. Actually, I know Rebecca Faringer.
I know Rebecca Faringer.
Yeah, she
she was third.
She was third.
Oh my gosh! Long time ago. She used to come and visit Dayton, and I used to go partying with her actually a couple times when she was in town.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yep. Awesome, funny person.
She came out.
That is awesome.
She did the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder.
Yeah.
The whole 5-day race. So I got to meet her and know her
kills
on that
it.
race.
Fun person too.
So pretty crazy.
Very cool.
Nice.
That's enough results for me.
Did you have a little something
I got one little blurb.
Bring it.
Taylor Finney's retiring.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. I mean, it's cool, but I just love his commentary and his sensibilities. Yeah. He's just a quirky dude that just was fun, and that's what cycling needs. It doesn't need the the uber elite kind of.
He's a character that's going to be missed. He is. Yeah. I hope that EF Drapic continues his personality on the team, because I think he's a tough one to replace. But I think that they were kind of developing into that quirky, relatable pro team.
Oh, I think all of us thought they were. I mean, we all kind of thought that's our favorite team, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I think everybody loves cheering for him. Yeah. I like what they're doing, and I hope Taylor at the end of the day maybe stays in contact with the team and helps the team out from like a coaching perspective, marketing perspective, something. But
do something. I wonder if part of his retirement is some additional opportunity that he's not talking about yet.
Yeah.
because he's definitely a character in the sport.
I think also he was just kind of done with the road racing scene. I think the road racing scene grinds on people like that. He's a very artistic guy who I don't think always loved racing by the numbers, and I think in the road racing world you have to be that personality sometimes.
I feel like he was due for a big win that I never saw from him. Like I was always cheering for him. He was always one of my favorites.
Yeah. One of the greatest American cyclists of all time. I mean, he'll go down as probably
That's the thing is I feel like
talent wise top 10, maybe achievements wise top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Talent wise top 5 maybe even. I mean, as a time trialist, he may be the greatest American time trialist that we've had. So
he had that horrible crash.
He did.
That I think
3-4 years ago.
Maybe that's one of those things where it's like that's when he would have been, the guy or
kind
whatever.
Took his prime from him.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about cycling world records?
That sounds like a great topic for the day.
Yeah. That's interesting. Generally, that goes after Leadout news, right?
Yes,
Am I right? Oh, okay, good. I don't know anything about that, Jake. What do you know?
I know that there's some pretty crazy records out there that I want to talk about, and I'm sure you guys have got a few up your sleeves as well. I've seen a couple of these things come across, and I've had this on the back burner for some time, and I figured this would be a good week for us to talk about it. And I want to know what you guys' thoughts are on some of them, what some of the craziest ones are, maybe even ones that you would take a stab at. Not thinking that you could actually do it, but like if you were to attempt one of them, which one would it be?
We should take a vote on which one could be the one that if you trained for a year, you could most likely break. Like, what's the most untouchable one, and what's the most touchable one?
Sure. And then, for some of these, there's a psychological component that's even probably greater than the physiological component of like, how in the world did you do that? I mean, there's some pretty nuts stuff on here. We'll hold off. We'll get into these things as we go. So, Lance, do you want to start with the first one that you have?
Yeah, the first one that I think is crazy is the fastest bicycle speed in a slipstream.
Oh, this is really dangerous.
Yes, wildly dangerous.
And they sometimes do these on the salt flats.
Yeah, exactly. So so the men's record was set in 1995 on the Bonneville Salt Flats. And he went 166.9 miles an hour in a slipstream behind some dragster with a special windshield.
It's got to be hard to find a vehicle that can have a windshield behind it that can go that fast, right? Like you start to get to the point where it's like, what?
And you've got to have a big enough gear that you can turn over. You can't even start pedaling until you're going 90 miles an hour or something.
The gearing is interesting. Like that's could be a whole, a whole science behind it where it's like they have the gears that go. First of all, they're super long, and they're custom built bikes, of course.
Right. It's like the front chainring, instead of being like a 52, it's like 110.
Yeah.
Does it say in the article what the gearing ratio was and what the chainring was?
Usually when they break a record, they'll show pictures of the bike, and they're very odd looking.
It's crazy.
Like the chainring looks like the size of a wheel.
But here's the best part about this record. So the men's record is 166.9 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. The women's record, held by Denise Mueller-Koronek, also at the Bonneville Salt Flats, is 183 miles an hour.
And that was more recent, right?
That was very
2018.
Recent.
Yeah.
She was at, if you guys remember, actually, I talked about when I came back from the Reno Bike Convention.
Oh,
she was at the, she was there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I wonder if she
wanted
had
to
her
meet a
bike
crazy,
that they did the...
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
I wanted to, I didn't get to talk to her, but I got to see her, and I wanted to talk to a crazy person, because you have to be a crazy person to go more than 180 miles an hour on a bicycle.
I have zero interest in doing this.
To me, of all these records, that's the craziest one to me.
I mean, 80 miles an hour.
All the endurance and fitness ones are incredible, but that's one where it's like, I mean, your odds of dying have got to be higher than your odds of surviving that by far.
One wobble.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah. If you come out of the slipstream, you die.
What is the fastest number everybody's seen on their bike, Matt? What's the fastest you've been?
Back when I didn't care, I went 61 or something like that.
Oh, we're close. I've seen 62. Once I saw 60. Jake?
61.
61.
That's
Lance?
funny. I'm 62.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really weird.
Well,
why do we all see the
it's
same?
weird
Why do we all see that same number?
I haven't gone anywhere close to that in a long time. But
I did not like it.
Sierra
It was not
Mountains,
fun.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
Yeah, I felt like went down Sierra Nevada mountains or whatever, and I was at my sister-in-law's wedding thing, and it was awesome. Long descents.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But yeah, I wouldn't do that anymore.
Nope.
Nope.
I'd probably do it.
I know you would.
Yeah.
I know. That's
Clear
why you were
conscious,
like,
right?
you were talking about that fast one. I was like, Lance, you're the only one that might do something like this. But
okay, so let's talk about why. Why would why would you even want that record? I mean, I guess she's on the record book and people talk about her. It's kind of cool, but
I mean, that's
is it worth it? I mean, she's not getting paid to do that.
But this is, I mean,
I bet she is getting paid.
It's the
she's going
it's the
to
same thing we talk about. I mean, you look at like what Alex Honnold did. I mean, we're going completely different, but Alex Honnold free climbing El Capitan, like why? I mean,
well, he's kind of a quirky dude though,
yeah,
isn't he? But
I'm sure she's pretty. I mean, there's pushing the limits of doing something. There's always that mental bridge that people like to.
But that's the only place that's ever applicable. I mean, it's like you're not going to do that in real world. Like I would be. I'd be interested to see, like, all right, if it's a downhill segment, there's no cars involved, and it's just you, and it's, you've got to have maybe favorable winds or something like that. Like, how fast can you make a bike go? But sitting behind a car, drafting, going 170 something miles an hour,
188 or
whatever,
something.
yeah, I don't know. To each their own.
It's
I guess.
mind-boggling.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the record that doesn't make sense to me, speed wise.
But here we are talking about it, so
there's the reason we're talking about it. Good for her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's gotten a lot more attention for that than we get for this little podcast.
That's true.
Evan, do you have one?
Here's so one that is historically under debate is always the hour record.
Yeah.
So
I think it's obviously worth mentioning. I feel like it's all on our brains whenever there's an attempt to get some news.
Probably the most famous of cycling records, I would say.
I think so.
If we're just talking about speed and
Sure.
distance wise,
Yeah.
so just so you know, the holder now is Victor Kempenarts, and he went 34.2 miles an hour for an hour. So 34.23. I'm going to give him that
34 miles an hour.
0.23
for an hour.
For 1 hour. Now, the problem with the hour record is always highly debated with equipment, location.
Right.
He did it at altitude. He did it in Mexico.
City,
at almost 2,000 meters above sea level. So air is thinner up there.
Yes.
Less resistance.
But
all that aside, this guy, if you look at his time trialing history, an incredible talent. The problem with the hour record is you look at historically when like Eddie Merckx was going to break these records, it was always guys were trying to do this at the peak of their career. Same thing with Jonks Anquetil when he went for it too. And it's, you ask yourself, like, what if a Fabian Cancellara or a Tony Martin at their absolute prime went for it? I think this is a record that could get pushed up over 35 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Which is wild to even think about. To think about holding that for an hour.
That sounds like so much suffering.
So much. Well, I remember when
they don't have the watts numbers. I would love to see what he held watts wise for an hour.
I remember when Bradley Wiggins broke it, and it was just it felt really historic.
It
was
did.
Cool.
When Wiggins broke it, it felt historic. I don't think anybody's going to go after Victor's now because he did it at altitude, and there was some debate with that. But I mean, still incredible. But I think when people think of the hour record attempts recently, they think of Brad Wiggins when he broke it.
Do you think of Wiggins more than you think of Jens Voigt? Because I think he was the one that
he broke it.
He was the one who did it first.
Yeah.
I love Jens, but I mean, Brad went out there and just killed it.
Well, that's true, but I mean,
I think of Wiggins before I think of Jens Voigt.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember when they both broke those records. Mm-hmm. It was it was a rule change, and that was why it was very convenient for Jens Voigt to be able to snag that record.
Yeah,
he's the first one to throw down a punch.
First one to do a real attempt on it.
Also,
after
it's just
the rule
like
change.
I mean, the hour record's all about suffering, like just the epitome of suffering in cycling, and that's what Jens Voigt's entire career was based off of. Because nobody could hurt themselves more than Jens Voigt.
I really enjoy it. I actually stopped everything that I was doing and pulled up the live stream and watched.
Watched the entire. I was on a trainer watching that as it happened, which was great. Yeah. Putting out probably 150 less watts than he was at that time. But
all right, Matt, what's your little world record you'd like to talk about here?
Well, obviously, I want to talk about running world records.
Yeah, we'll get into
But if we want to stick to cycling, we could talk about the longest bike ride in a year. Amanda Coker Is that the one that you wanted to talk about, or is
Sure,
it,
they're all. I think they're all like in their own way, like interesting.
The 24-hour one's pretty incredible to me too.
Yeah. Okay.
But what she did, this is where I have to like.
It's interesting.
Question like how do you stay motivated to do this for 365 days?
Yeah.
Knowing how many miles she was riding every single day.
She
it's
rode
insane.
a total of 86,573.2 miles in a year in 12 months.
1,000 miles a year.
How many are you going to get in this year, Lance?
14,
15?
No. Maybe 10.
I'm at like 8 now.
Wow. That's pretty
I
good.
may touch 9.
I'm over 9.
You're going to be like 1,000 more than me at the end of the year.
I'm not over 9 yet.
She's 75,000 more than me.
75,000.
You guys want to know something funny? She kept going after she decided.
Well, yeah, because what else are you going to do?
Well, no, she wanted to hit 100,000 miles and break that record as well. So
the fastest to 100,000 miles.
Fastest to 100,000. So that took her, I can't remember the exact number, 423 days or something like that to get there, and she smashed that
How
record
many
too.
miles a day?
Exactly, that was my question.
250, right?
I don't know. It's got to be something like that. Let me see.
Let's do some math, Matt.
237.19 miles a day.
Wait.
Okay. So quick math for you.
That's all you do. That's all she did for a year?
That's the thing. You should think about. She'd be a great movie, I bet.
Well, she did nothing else but ride her bike
She'd be an
for
awesome
12
movie.
hours a day for
at least 12
hours.
15, 16 hours.
Yeah, I wonder.
Lance is like, how can I do that?
Like, wait a second. This is possible?
I remember this, and I want to say she did this like loop in Florida or something.
Yep.
You know, and so.
Do you think her house was clean?
She didn't do anything else.
She didn't spend any time in her house. She was biking.
Yeah.
You know.
How many tires did she go through?
Just
How
eat
many
McDonald's.
drivetrains did she go
Just eat
through? How often
McDonald's
did she
every
change
evening.
her
Swap the bike
chain?
out. I wonder if
Did
she had like a whole bunch of bike sponsor or something that just swapped
Somebody
things out.
had
She
to.
had a chamois cream sponsor, I hope.
There's no way you would have the mental energy to change a chain after riding 430 miles every day.
Does it mention what kind of bike she was riding to?
Do you think she ever went for 400 just to try and get a day off the next day and be like, I'm just going to take it easy this next day?
I'll only do 150.
Yeah, exactly. Recovery day, 100 miles.
Yeah, the picture, I don't recognize the bike brand. I can't tell from that picture what it is.
SEMA or something like that?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, but I don't know what
That's a road bike, yeah.
I don't recognize it.
Nope.
Yeah.
The consistency there is incredible, but I would love to see a movie on her to see the other things going on in her life that fell apart because
No, it'd be completely boring.
Yeah.
It's just
It'd be
her
boring.
spinning
365 days.
You wake up, you go bike 12 hours.
If I have my story
This
straight
is the
here,
danger of endurance sports.
Yeah, I was following this or like caught word of it while it was happening, and they were talking about her. And she, if it's the same story, she does live in like the Florida area, or maybe somewhere that's really flat,
like Tampa area,
exactly.
Or something like that.
And she was getting pretty deep into this, and it was getting to the point where a lot of people wanted to come out and ride with her. And she had a close call. I think somebody like almost took her out, or somebody crashed, or something like that. So they got to the point now where they told people that they're not allowed to ride with her, and she had people kind of like barricading her so that it wasn't a problem. But how do you ride 230 miles a day psychologically and then physically? How does your body not break down at some point in time? I mean, I could do that.
Yeah, human body's pretty incredible at adapting.
Well, okay, but
mentally blows my mind more than physically.
Like if I told you to go do that for a week and let you even train up for it,
I could survive 7 days and I'd die after that. There'd be no way
even if I gave you
yeah.
like 6 months to train for that, you're still gonna be broken. She did it for over a year, 400 and how many days?
I don't know, 423 or something.
Yeah, something
like so I think she's tried to break this record before, and failed. And again, I think it was like an injury or something like that. So I think when you've tried this, that's basically, I mean, you're training for it if you're trying to do it, right? Because that's consistent mileage of 200 plus per day or whatever. I mean, how would you train for it other than just doing it, right? Like, so if she's tried this for years in the past, then that would prep her pretty nicely to actually accomplish it. But I feel like she tried and failed one year. I'd have to go back and
I want to say something happened where she like didn't follow a protocol right or did something wrong, but I could be wrong. But I got to go back and double check. It might have been injury or illness or something like that too. But an interesting
is there
story.
a documentary out on her or something like that? I'm wildly interested by that record. That record is the most interesting one to me on here. Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman by the name of Michael Strasser. Is it?
Yes, Strasser.
Strasser. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He rode from the uppermost part of Alaska to the southernmost part of Argentina, which is 14,000 miles. He did that in 84 days.
Whoa, that's fast.
That same man went across America from Oceanside to, what is it, Virginia Beach City, the Race Across America route, in 7 days.
Yeah. So, but
what? Strasser's incredible.
Yeah.
He's
No, he wasn't doing the same flat course that Coker was doing.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
But if you think about riding, I mean, you've got on the whole western side of the United States, it's pretty hilly. So he was only averaging 166 miles a day, but I'm sure his elevation game was like significantly higher.
Yeah.
How does that compare? Would you say that that's easier or more difficult? Or
I know this is going to sound.
I actually think it's going to be. I think Strasser's is easier, not physically,
Really?
mentally. I think it's
Mentally?
easier. There's a change in environment.
Yeah.
There's
new places.
I mean, I like climbing, so like just personally, I would say like, good God, if I had to ride flat route that much every single day, I would drive myself crazy. I'd go absolutely crazy. Climbing, I mean, like Strasser's physically, I think, is more impressive because of the time that he did it in. Mentally, hers is more impressive.
That's
because I just couldn't imagine doing like the same route every single day. For 400 whatever days.
That would be mind numbing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure she was like falling asleep on the bike every day.
Yeah. Now Strasser's Race Across America record to me is amazing because it's like 16 and a half miles an hour for his entire race.
16
and a half miles an hour. Yeah.
That's like including sleeping,
including sleeping.
Oh, including gotcha.
Including when he was not moving.
Gotcha.
That's I mean, that's just incredible.
But he probably only slept. I bet he only slept 2 or 3 nights.
Probably. I think the standard for the race.
Couple hours.
I know when Joe was doing the race, the accepted standard among the elite guys trying to get in that top 10 is like 2 to 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's this thing. I mean, they almost joke about like you're going to hallucinate at some point. Like when you're in Kansas, at midnight. Like you're having some weird thoughts. Yeah, you're having some very weird thoughts.
I think that would be fun to do, but I wouldn't want to do it in a race format, and I wouldn't want to be told to do it in 7 days. I'm like, give me 3 or 4 weeks, and maybe that would be a more enjoyable thing to do. But.
So here's another wild one. This one physically is incredible.
Go ahead.
So Craig Cannon of the USA we've talked about the Everest Challenge on here before. In 48 hours, Craig climbed. Oh my gosh, 97,000 feet and 97,189 feet in 48 hours.
What?
Yep, that is Box Hill 73 times.
I just saw that. That was because everybody with Zwifts knows Box Hill, right? Go ahead and try to do that one 73 times.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
97,000. I mean, he's just under 100,000 feet.
48 hours.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
That one to me physically, of the 3 records we just talked about, that one physically is the most impressive.
See, I've done that before. In a month.
Right.
No, literally. I've done
48 hours. That's a big climbing month.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's a huge climbing month.
Just what, like 3 years ago or something like that?
We
did
it
like
and I were
it was
doing a ton of hills.
There was a group of us that we had a little challenge, like a hill, like the October. We were just doing how many miles or how many feet can you climb in a month?
Oh yeah, we need to do that.
You
again.
get a pair of like polka dot socks out of it and whatnot. And I think I got about 95,000 feet.
Quads just felt like after that.
Let's bring that back.
I just want to know what that felt. I mean, that's a steep climb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Lance, you got another one?
Yeah, here's one I actually want to go for. I think I could have a shot at it. It's the farthest distance cycling with no hands in an hour.
That's crazy.
In an hour. So you got to be flying too.
You got to be flying in 1 hour.
That seems scary.
And you got to keep it somewhat flat too, because if you're trying to factor in downhill and you don't have like a fixie where you can slow yourself down, that could get pretty hairy, man.
Right. That's true. So this was set in 2009 by a guy named Eric Skramstad, and he did it around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Okay.
So he went on a speedway, closed road, no hills, and in an hour, he did 23.25 miles. So he averaged...
That's impressive.
So 23 miles an hour
You're pushing.
for an hour.
Position-wise, though, you could just tuck yourself, so you're kind of like a pseudo-aero position.
Right?
You need your arms for
You just
balance.
put yourself
Yeah.
in a body condom. Where you can't, where you're all arrow.
That sounds safe.
But yeah, it's just crazy for
what about
a whole hour.
The furthest distance cycled underwater?
You know what? I have that one listed
I'm
down
not
here
even sure
too.
what that means. Like, I don't even know how was this done?
This is like the Guinness Book of World Records where there's just like, oh, that's just stupid.
Yeah,
You know?
it's just so, and then There's always like a couple of really random routes ones too, where you look at the guy and you're like, that person doesn't even look that fit. Like, how anybody could choose a random event to do and be like, has anybody else attempted to do this well? I'm going to take this record.
This underwater one, it was he's in full scuba gear on a bike, and he went 22,000 feet, and it took him almost 5 hours to do.
That's almost 4.2 miles underwater.
Yeah. So 4 miles he rode
just over
underwater.
Exactly.
It took him 5 hours.
I could
to
do that.
do.
I could do that.
Oh my god!
Give me plenty of air in a scuba tank.
I hope
I'll ride anywhere.
I hope he sends us an
not that
angry
long.
email about this, but I bet I could do that. I mean, come on. That's like, I mean, if you had like people hand you food and just like were really determined to go ahead and break that.
Hey Matt, can you get us a pool?
Yeah. Can we try this at the Lackness Athletic Club? Yeah.
I got a lake for you. I got one step ahead.
I got a mountain bike we can use for the bottom of the lake.
Just wet ourselves down a little bit.
Does he just...
The picture looks
How
like...
does the bike move?
The picture looks like there's like big weights on the frame to hold it on the bottom.
I'm going to go back to the Amanda Coker thing real quick. She holds another record, and it's the most miles ridden in 1 month.
Oh, okay.
So just to kind of put things into perspective, we always talk about how many miles we get in a week, in a month, in a year. And we were just talking about some numbers. And Lance, for the year, you're what? Just shy of
9,000.
Okay. Well, for 1 month in April 2017, she rode 8,012.5 miles. In 1 month.
That's a solid year.
That's
Granted,
a good
year.
I haven't ridden outside as much as I normally do. My mileage is down per normal, but that's usually where I'm at
for the year.
Year at this stage of the game. I usually, when I'm not broken and injured, am somewhere between 9 and 9,500 miles, and I'm usually right about there. That's for the year. She's there in a month.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring that.
Did
one
you
up
guys
too.
see the Zwift nonstop distance record on
that's
here?
what I was going to mention. I think that's neat.
Should I go for that one?
Yeah, sure.
I want to go for that one.
You should do it. Well,
oh man, 3 days nonstop.
100 hours, right?
That's a lot of water.
Without getting off the bike.
Yeah,
that's the question.
Who's bringing you bottles the whole time?
I don't know if we know.
No, well,
you have to go to the bathroom.
You have to
pee yourself.
It's a trap.
Use a bottle. Use a bottle out the side. Can't get off the bike. Doesn't count if you get off the bike. Record done if you get off the bike.
That record has been contested a few times, though, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's a thing, right? Like,
yeah.
I think it's going to be one of these records that's going to be continuing to get pushed.
Yeah,
because I think it was there's like three people that have kind of pushed the record.
Yeah. So in my notes, I have the original guy,
Chris Hopkins.
Was he the first one or was he the second one? I thought he was the second one. He broke the previous record, and he put it down at 1,009.7 miles in 2016. And then a woman by the name of Jasmine Mueller did it in February 2017, and she rode 1,135.9 miles. Is that the reigning?
Yeah. No, I thought. Oh yeah, that's it. Wait. No. What about this Hopkins? Oh, he's saying he wants to complete it. I don't know.
I think he wants to come back and take it, and I think that there was another record that they're talking about doing. Like, what's the furthest distance you could ride? Was it 100 days or was it 100 hours? 100 hours. That's what it was.
Oh,
no good. Interesting the Zwift thing. There was a guy just last week in Scandinavia somewhere who was going to do a 5,000 kilometer Zwift ride.
Oh,
so they actually set it up inside a shopping mall where they could get more exposure. Okay. And they had all these Zwifter people like riding with him, and he actually did it. He rode 5,000 miles. It took him like 8
kilometers or miles.
5,000 kilometers. It took him like 8 days. He did take some breaks and slept a couple hours, but 3 times Zwift crashed on him.
Oh, jeez. So it didn't become a validated record?
Well,
or?
I don't think he wasn't really going for a record. He was just trying to gain awareness for some cause. I don't remember what it was. But like they're 2,500 kilometers in and it crashes. They had to reboot the whole thing.
I think anybody's ever been as mad as he was
at
a computer.
He's like, I don't think his computer crashed. It was actually like Zwift, like the app. Like,
but very
that sucks because you've got your mileage that you have down there. Like, yes, you want a picture of that.
You want a picture of that, and it was gone. So they had to say, okay, here was the first session.
He's going to take the screenshot, and it just shuts down on him. Nobody's going to believe you.
Insane. Any other obscure records or any records out there that you guys want?
Definitely not obscure, but the 24-hour record is unbelievable. It was done in a velodrome. Take a stab at this. 585 miles in 24 hours.
How many laps does that work out to?
A lot. Oh, I got the answer for you. 3,766 laps, the 250-meter course. His average speed, 39.42 kilometers, which puts you at, what is that, almost 25 miles an hour?
That's so crazy to me. Like,
that is wild. Oh, that's blowing my mind right now.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, the things that come into, your body position, all that stuff matters. Right. And you're like, for 24 hours.
You got to be attentive for 24 hours on the track. The track's not easy to just, you can't really zone out on the track.
That's crazy. Yeah, I wonder if it's like full-on aero equipment or whatever. Oh.
Yeah. Matt, do you have any more?
That was also by Chris Strasser, just in case anybody was wondering.
You got any? You said you had some running.
Running stuff. I mean, so I think as we talk about world records, obviously there's been a whole bunch of interesting running stuff going on. The big one was they set up a sub 2-hour marathon attempt, and the way I would describe it is it's not necessarily as a world record because there are certain conditions that have to be met for it to be an official marathon record. That was not the case. That was not the goal for this one, but what they did want to do was break the 2-hour barrier, and so it was this Ineos 159 challenge, and they were able to do it. Mm-hmm. The new, I don't really want to call it a record.
I call it the record, but it's
do you really?
Whatever. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't call it the record.
I do.
Fake record.
No, it is. He's the man. He's the champ. He holds the record anyway. I mean,
right.
So 201.39, right?
201.39 is the official world record.
Why do I know that off the top of my head?
I don't know.
I know way too many of his numbers.
Kipchoge, right?
Yes,
Elliot Kipchoge.
Elliot Kipchoge. And so what's interesting, I thought, was that was on a Saturday. Yeah. And they streamed it. It was really cool. You could watch it. And Sunday, the next day, was the Chicago Marathon. I don't want to mix
Berlin.
Berlin.
Was it Berlin?
It was Berlin.
And a women's record was set.
Oh, yes,
on that day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of it was like, she was like, oh man, he was wearing these Nike 4% shoes. I think I should wear them. And she went.
She didn't only break the record; she toasted the previous record.
I think is I don't know. So the previous record was Paula Radcliffe 2:15, and I thought it was solid. It was one of those records.
People thought that one was going to stand for a long time,
and it did. Yeah. It stood for probably 10 years or more, and so I kind of was like, well, that's kind of one of those records. Maybe I don't like to think that she was doing drugs, but anytime you have a world record that's that far ahead, when you break a record by like a minute or 2 minutes, you're like, you start to question it. But she was like super anti-doping, always has been, perfect cover. But anyway, she went 2:15.
I like to believe Paula was clean because I think she's awesome, but I also believe that Lance Armstrong was clean.
But it's also, but when you break a world record by 2 minutes, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she went 2:15. So that record stood forever. I can't remember the girl's name that went 2:14.
Bridget Kosgei, a Kenyan. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she went 2:14.04. So pretty substantial.
Put some serious time into that record.
Yeah. Some pretty substantial race.
Had to run a lot of that by herself too. So
did not see that coming, and that was in one weekend. That all happened in one weekend.
So
2 days. It's crazy.
What's the deal with the shoes?
There's
like controversy with the shoes, right?
Yes. So we're not all, we always say the Nike 4% shoes or the Vaporflies or whatever it is, and we're not always talking about the exact same shoe because there are differences between these shoes.
Yeah.
The controversy is like, hey, these shoes are clearly an advantage. A lot of people, you'll notice, are really kind of gravitating towards wearing these shoes. A lot of triathletes, a lot of anyone, right? A lot of just marathoners that are into this stuff.
Probably most guys in the pro field I was racing this year were wearing the Nexts.
Yeah.
Next 4%.
Yeah. So the shoe design, if you're not familiar, it's basically got a carbon plate throughout the shoe, and it's designed in such a way that gives you a bit of a spring. But other than that, I mean, so
it gives a little bit of like force spring. Return when you flex
exactly.
it.
That's the idea. But there's some differences, right? Like the record, the 1:59.40, when they broke 2 hours, that was a slightly different shoe than when Kipchoge went 2:01.39. And the one where he broke 2 hours, they had a little bit of an air pack in there, like Nike Air. I don't know what, it's kind of like...
Who knows what those...
The shoes that I've seen I don't have a problem with. As soon as you make it into like this spring format, then it's technically illegal. It should be illegal. It should be banned. The way that it's set up, it just looks to me like it's a carbon plate that would add a nice firm, I mean, like we talk about rigidity of bikes all the time, and carbon fiber's good with that. And so the way I look at it,
sprinting into a steel frame versus sprinting into a carbon frame. I mean, to me, it makes for a nice 60 minutes documentary to try and talk about some big conspiracy where these companies are making people go faster. I don't think these are as big of an advantage as people think they are for these records.
It looks like there's an advantage to this shoe.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that.
Think
I think also the other thing when people are like, oh, well, he didn't get it the year before when he tried it, when he missed it by 20-some seconds, and now he got it by 40. That's also another year of elite marathon training under his belt.
He doesn't need another year. He's old. I don't think it's the technology. I think it was, you try 3 times, one of the times is going to work. I mean, he's very, very good. He's always been very, very close. Yeah. He's the guy to do it.
He is the guy, yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily... I think the shoes probably provide a bit of an advantage. I think there's other things too, like they're talking about like all kinds of aerodynamic strips on the arm, lots of little things that can add. If you're talking about seconds, I mean we all know how that.
The cycling world, does this all the time. I think just the running world had never really been exposed to this, but the swimming world and the cycling world. I mean, swimming records started dropping left and right when all of a sudden
they did the shark skin suits.
Yeah. I mean, when you're wearing tighter skin.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine if all these records that we just talked about for cycling were done on steel bikes?
Yeah. Right.
How much slower would they be?
Yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Technology plays a role. I just don't think it's an illegal role, which is the debate right now. Is like, should these shoes be banned? And I think that there's some formula for shoes, like if it provides more spring than a certain percentage or whatever, then they get banned. Shoes are fine.
They just got to come up with a rule so that there's
No, I think there is a rule. Like you can't wear springs on your shoes. You can't wear roller blades, right? Like I mean,
and also like springs in your shoes. Just being a running gait nerd. That wouldn't make. I really think that would actually be more detrimental to your gait than anything else.
There's this company, and it was probably in the early 2000s. And the company name was called Spiral, and they made running shoes. And they're a funny company because they were like one of the, and this is my recommendation for any small shoe company. It's like they were providing this slight advantage to runners or whatever it was. NCAA banned them. And then Spiral's like, we got to keep this in the, we're gonna fight this through the law, whatever. And
the man's trying to hold us down.
I mean, their shoes were crap. They were crap. But
shots fired from Matt LeGrand.
I mean, at the time I was working for Runner's World, we were reviewing all these shoes. We had this Runner's World lab, so we could like do all these kind of tests and stuff.
Did you get to run in them?
Yeah, sure. I think I had a couple pairs.
How bad were they?
They were just kind of heavy and they were horrible shoes. They were just way too heavy. You wouldn't want to run them. I always liked lighter weight shoes.
Yeah.
And but they also did some other stuff. So it's like, yes, let's keep this lawsuit going. Brilliant publicity, right? Like as long. And so then it was like
they don't want you to run in our shoe.
Yeah, they don't want you to know how good these shoes are. And then they would do something really interesting. They would get some Kenyans to wear their shoes, sponsor some Kenyans,
and all of them got injured, right?
It was like they had some stuff where it was like if you could win the race, we're going to give you $1 million. If you could set a world record, we're going to give you all this money. Like Spiral had all these things. Like no, they would always go out super fast and just die and fall apart. Like they never did anything. They never got the $1 million that they were promised or whatever it is. But those shoes are just I mean, there's gimmicks out there.
I think the best shoe is the human foot. I mean, the human foot's a pretty darn good spring when it's utilized correctly and is strong. And you look at so many of these great Kenyan Ethiopian runners. A lot of them grew up running barefoot.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're fast runners. It takes. I mean, I don't think you can just simulate a strong, neuromuscular spring with springs, like literally with springs. I don't think it works that way.
Well, I think that the Nike 4% shoe is like that's the current debate right now.
Yeah,
really,
it's the closest thing that they've gotten to an advantage.
It's one of those things where it's like people are really kind of debating it. I don't think it's an issue, but as long as it's considered an issue, everyone's going to want to buy that shoe, right? And so I think it's publicity magic. Way to go, Nike.
Yep.
Wow.
On that note, I think we are going to call this one done. That was a fun topic.
That was fun.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Let's get into one last thing. Lance, you want to start us off?
Shout out to my wife, Brandy Hepler. She flew to Vegas this weekend for a soccer tournament and took a bike with her.
What?
Nice.
Yep.
Wow.
By herself without me.
Nice.
So yeah,
and what's even better than that, she brought home some hardware on Strava too, didn't she?
She did take a KOM out there, or a QOM out there from somebody. So
nice work.
Good job, Randy.
Yeah, good job.
Evan, one last thing.
Matt McElroy just completed a triple crown for the first time ever as a USA ITU triathlete.
Oh, cool.
In Draft Legal, he just won 3 World Cup races. Boom, boom, boom. They're kind of the end-of-season races. A lot of the big hitters aren't out there, but showing a very promising U.S. future in Draft Legal, which we need because the women have been killing it. Katie Severas and Gwen back in the day, but the men were always lagging behind, and now the men are killing it with Morgan Pearson, Eli Hemming, Kevin McDowell, Matt McElroy. There's some really, really fast guys moving through the ranks, so good for him.
Matt, one last thing.
Yeah, one last thing. It's one of the most important things. Mr. Jake Von During's birthday is on Friday.
How old is he going to be?
28, right?
Something
I
like
think
that.
I said 28.
Same age as Evan.
30, something like that.
You're going to turn 45. I imagine you're going to bike 45 miles.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
You're very predictable.
And per Pacific Northwest protocol, it should be raining.
It's supposed to be raining.
You're going to go do it out in the rain, or are you going to just trainer it up?
Oh, no, I always do it out in the rain. I did it on the trainer last year for the first time in over 10 years, and that was just because I couldn't ride outside yet. But, yeah, I will be outside riding 45 miles somewhere.
Pretty soon you're going to get to the point where that birthday is going to be a little bit too long of a ride.
No, I'm going to move to Florida before it gets too bad. Snowbird it
We
out.
need a little bit warmer weather for that.
Yeah, well, I'll be out there doing it. If anybody wants to come out, by all means, join me.
Awesome.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Right on. My one last thing is if you would like to see the many faces of Lance Hepler during a race.
Oh.
And I mean, by many, I mean many. I took a lot of pictures of this guy, and it wasn't because I was going nuts just trying to flatter Lance and say, oh, look at all these great pictures of you, Lance. Every time I took a picture of him, he had a different face, a different look on his face. The guy is just unreal. But if you want to see all of these pictures, I'll be posting them up on our Dialed Cycling Flickr account, and you can go, have a chuckle at those. So
I don't hide my suffering very well. I don't have a poker face when I'm on the
very
bike.
bad cycling poker face. Yeah.
But then if he knows he's having a picture taken of him, he'll start making funny faces or smiling or hamming it up a little bit. So, I mean, I must have had at least 15 pictures of Lance with all different facial expressions, and it's hilarious. So the only thing I needed was some audio to get that wheezing in there too.
There was some wheezing and some bleeding.
Yeah.
A lot of bleeding.
Yeah. So if you want to see those, go to Flickr, search Dialed Cycling, and you will see all of those under the Barton Park Cyclocross State Championship Race album. So, all right, guys, anything else?
That's it.
I think that's good.
Another fun one in the books.
Thanks for having us.
90.
90.
Still can't believe that we've done 90 of these.
10
more to 100. Who'd have thunk it? Thank you for listening. Again, go to the iTunes and leave us a little review. And Matt loves it when you give him the 5.5 stars.
Yeah,
those are always good.
Just push it to 5 and then keep pushing.
Those help us. So, in the meantime, we will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye for now.